an elderly woman abducted from her home in the middle of the night and without a trace, it seems, and so many federal and local resources devoted to the investigation and the search for Nancy Guthrie. And yet, still, all these days in, Savannah Guthrie, as we all know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I don't know if that hair sample was recovered all along and the Florida lab was working on it.
Wait, hold on a second. I need you to hear this carefully before you decide this is just another rumor. Because what just came out about Savannah Guthrie isn't just another headline going viral online. It's the kind of situation that makes people go silent in the middle of their conversation. And I'm not even exaggerating here. Sources close to the situation are saying she didn't just respond to the divorce rumors. She reacted to something that was never supposed to come out publicly in the first place. Now here's where it gets strange. The moment her statement was expected to calm things down, everything actually got worse. Like, immediately worse. People started noticing inconsistencies, missing details, and one specific allegation that suddenly shifted the entire direction of this story. And what's even more confusing is this. While social media thinks they've figured it out already, insiders are saying we are still missing the real reason behind everything. So the question is simple. Was this really about a divorce rumor getting out of control? Or is there something much darker sitting underneath this entire situation that nobody is ready to talk about yet? Because if what I'm hearing is true, this is just the beginning. And what comes next changes everything you think you know about this case. Before this story exploded across headlines, Savannah Guthrie was seen as untouchable in the world of broadcast journalism. A calm face on national television. A voice people trusted during chaos. A presence that made even breaking news feel controlled. But what most people never saw was what was happening behind the scenes. Because according to people who worked closely around the production circle, things around Savannah had started shifting months before any of this went public. At first, it was subtle. Late arrivals to meetings. Short, distracted answers during interviews. A noticeable distance even from people she had worked with for years. Nobody said anything at the time, because in her world, stress was normal. Pressure was normal. Headlines were normal. But this felt different. Something heavier. And then came the first whisper. A private conversation, overheard by someone who was never supposed to be listening. Two staff members allegedly talking in low voices near a production hallway. She's been dealing with things at home. I don't think it's just work stress anymore. At the time, it was dismissed as gossip. But weeks later, that same whisper started echoing in different places. Different people. Different departments. Same concern. Something was happening in her personal life. And that's where the first crack appeared in the public image. Because while Savannah Guthrie continued appearing on screen like nothing was wrong, insiders claim her real life was becoming increasingly unstable. A marriage that was once described as solid and private began to show signs of strain. Public appearances with her partner became less frequent. Family moments that used to appear in interviews completely disappeared. And then came the first online speculation. At first it was harmless. Just random posts. Have you noticed she hasn't mentioned her husband in a while? But in the world of media, harmless speculation never stays harmless for long. It grows. It spreads. It evolves. And this one evolved fast. Because suddenly, anonymous accounts began connecting dots that nobody had officially confirmed. Deleted photos. Unfollowed accounts. Old interviews being rewatched frame by frame. People weren't just guessing anymore, they were building a narrative. And that's when the words started appearing everywhere. Divorce. But here's where the situation takes a darker turn. Because just as the divorce rumors started gaining traction, something even more disturbing entered the conversation. A completely separate allegation, one that had nothing to do with relationships, and everything to do with a case that was already making national attention. The kidnapping allegations. Now, there is no official confirmation tying Savannah Guthrie directly to anything criminal. But online speculation does not wait for confirmation. It creates its own reality. And in this case, that reality spiraled out of control. Certain forums began suggesting that Savannah's reaction to the ongoing situation was too controlled. Too careful, almost as if she was aware of more than she was saying publicly. That's when things stopped being about gossip and started becoming a full-blown media storm. Inside newsrooms, according to alleged insiders, there was confusion. Some wanted clarification released immediately. Others advised silence. And silence is what won. But silence in a situation like this never calms things down. It fuels speculation. It gives space for theories to grow. And grow they did. Because now, the public wasn't just talking about divorce rumors anymore. They were questioning timing, behavior, and hidden connections between unrelated events. Even more shocking, some online discussions began claiming that certain responses from Savannah felt strategically delayed, as if every word was being carefully measured before release. Whether that's true or not, it didn't matter anymore. Because perception had already taken over reality. And once that happens, control becomes almost impossible. Behind closed doors, the pressure was reportedly increasing. Calls were being made. Statements were being drafted, and deleted, and rewritten again. Because every move now had consequences far beyond what anyone expected. And then came the moment that changed everything. A decision was made. Savannah Guthrie finally responded. But instead of ending the rumors, it did the opposite. It intensified everything. And the reaction that followed was something nobody inside the media world was fully prepared for. Because what was supposed to be a clarification started looking more like the beginning of a much deeper story. A story that, according to some insiders, is still far from over. And whatever happens next may not just change the narrative around Savannah Guthrie. It might change everything people thought they understood about the situation from the beginning. Everything changed the moment that first response went public. At face value, it looked like a controlled statement, carefully written, carefully delivered, and designed to calm everything down. But online, it did the opposite. Because within minutes of Savannah Guthrie's response circulating, the internet didn't relax, it erupted. And this time, it wasn't just about divorce rumors anymore. Something else had entered the conversation again. The kidnapping allegations. At first, the two stories were completely separate in the public mind. Divorce speculation on one side, and an ongoing investigation on the other. But social media does something dangerous when it gets impatient. It connects dots that were never officially connected. And that's exactly what happened here. A viral post started circulating on X, formerly Twitter, claiming, "Her response doesn't sound like denial, it sounds like damage control." Within hours, that single post exploded into thousands of threads. But what really shifted everything was what came next. An alleged insider message screenshot appeared online. No verified source. No confirmation. Just a blurred chat log, but it was enough to ignite chaos. The message read, "They're not worried about the divorce part, they're worried about what investigators might already have." That one line changed the entire direction of the conversation. Because suddenly, people weren't just talking about relationship drama anymore. They were talking about something much darker. And this is where the collision happened. Divorce rumors and kidnapping allegations started merging into one narrative online. Completely unverified. Completely speculative. But emotionally powerful enough that people couldn't ignore it. One user wrote, "Why does it feel like both stories are connected behind the scenes?" Another added, "This doesn't feel like celebrity gossip anymore, this feels like a cover-up timeline." And that's when things escalated again. A second leak appeared. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a supposed, internal briefing note, allegedly circulating within a media-adjacent circle. It claimed, "Public narrative must remain focused on personal matters. Avoid linking ongoing investigation discussions." Again, no proof. No verification. But perception doesn't wait for proof. It runs ahead of it. Inside the story now, everything started blending together. Savannah's divorce rumors were no longer just rumors. They were being framed as a possible distraction. A smokescreen. And the kidnapping case? It was suddenly being pulled into the emotional chaos. Even though there was no confirmed connection. And then came the moment that pushed everything past the point of control. A third post surfaced, and this one was different. It wasn't vague. It wasn't speculative. It was written like someone was trying to sound calm while revealing something explosive. It said, "You're all focusing on the wrong timeline. The real issue isn't what she said, it's when she said it." That line hit harder than anything before it. Because now people weren't asking, what happened? They were asking, why now? And in viral storytelling, timing is everything. That's when the first real twist began forming in the public narrative. Some online commentators started suggesting that Savannah's response wasn't actually about shutting down rumors, but about controlling the direction of attention. Because right before her statement, something else had started trending quietly. A resurfaced detail from the kidnapping investigation timeline. Something small. Something almost unnoticed. But now, being re-examined under a completely different lens. And that's when the theory exploded. What if the divorce rumors weren't the main story? What if they were just the loudest distraction? Because according to one unverified source thread gaining traction, every time attention shifts toward the investigation, a personal headline suddenly dominates the news cycle. That claim spread like wildfire. News pages picked it up. Commentary channels amplified it. Reaction accounts broke it down frame by frame. And suddenly, Savannah Guthrie was no longer just responding to rumors. She was at the center of a narrative war. One side saying it's just media exaggeration. The other side insisting there's something being carefully managed behind the scenes. And then came the twist that no one saw coming. A final alleged leak dropped late at night. Short. Direct. And chilling in tone. This is bigger than anyone is admitting. The divorce story is only the surface layer. No explanation. No follow-up. Just that. And that single message flipped everything upside down again. Because now the question wasn't whether the rumors were true. It was what exactly was being hidden underneath them. And more importantly, who was controlling the flow of information in real time? Because if that leak was even partially accurate, then this situation wasn't just spiraling. It was being directed. And what happens next is where the story takes an even darker turn. After that final late-night leak hit the internet, everything around the Savannah Guthrie situation stopped feeling like ordinary celebrity rumors. It started feeling coordinated, like pieces of information were being released on purpose, at specific moments, to control what people focused on. And that's when the second wave of chaos began. By the time the third wave of discussion hit, this story was no longer just living on news platforms. It had fully taken over the internet. Every major social feed was now divided into two loud camps. On one side, people were defending Savannah Guthrie. This is being completely exaggerated. There is no confirmed connection to anything serious. But on the other side, the skepticism was getting louder, and more emotional. Too many coincidences. Too many timed statements. Something isn't right here. And that tension is exactly what made the situation explode further. TikTok breakdowns started going viral overnight. YouTubers began uploading timeline analysis videos. Twitter threads were being pinned and reshared as if they contained hidden truth, even though none of it was verified. And that's the dangerous part. Perception starts becoming reality when it's repeated enough times. Meanwhile, entertainment commentary pages began fueling the fire even more. Headlines started appearing like, "Savannah Guthrie responds, but questions only multiply. Divorce rumors and investigation speculation collide online. Why is everyone suddenly re-examining this timeline?" None of these headlines confirmed anything, but they didn't need to. They just needed to keep attention alive. Inside the industry conversation, according to alleged insider chatter, there was growing discomfort. Some media professionals reportedly felt the situation had gone beyond normal rumor cycles. Because now every statement, no matter how carefully written, was being interpreted in multiple conflicting ways. A single sentence could be turned into denial, confirmation, or cover-up theory, depending on who was reading it. And that's exactly why the situation became uncontrollable. Even unrelated celebrities were getting pulled into the discussion. Random names were being attached to theories. Old interviews were being clipped and misinterpreted. And fan communities started arguing aggressively in comment sections. One user wrote, "This feels like something much bigger than what we're being told." Another replied, "Or it's just the internet creating chaos out of nothing again." That divide kept growing stronger. And every new post only added fuel. Even traditional media outlets couldn't ignore it anymore. They started covering the reaction to the story, rather than the story itself. Because the reaction had become the story. And in the middle of all this noise, Savannah Guthrie's silence after her initial response began to stand out even more. No follow-up clarification. No deeper explanation. Just silence. And in viral narratives, silence is never empty. It's always interpreted. Some said it meant legal caution. Others said it meant strategy. And a few insisted it meant something was still unfolding behind the scenes. But no matter which version people believed, one thing was clear. The internet had fully locked onto this story. And it wasn't letting go. Because now everyone is waiting for one thing. The next move. And whatever that move is, it could either calm everything down, or ignite a final wave of chaos no one is ready for. So now the question is simple. What do you really think is happening here? Because after everything we just broke down, after all the rumors, the leaks, the reactions, and the chaos online, one thing is still not officially clear. Is this whole situation just a massive internet exaggeration that got out of control? Or are we actually watching a much deeper story unfold in real time, one that people don't fully understand yet? And I want you to be honest in the comments. Do you believe the divorce rumors are completely separate from the kidnapping case? Or do you think the timing of everything is too perfect to be random? Because that's where this story gets dangerous, when timing starts feeling intentional, and nothing feels like coincidence anymore.